My name is Jan Valdman, and in this video I will show you the differences between IBM Connections and Microsoft Office 365 plus Yammer for social collaboration. This presentation was originally prepared for Social Connection Conference in Boston earlier this year, and it was further presented on various events in Europe. This presentation has three parts. In the first one, I will introduce Office 365 from the perspective of an IBM Connections user. Then we will check how Office 365 and Microsoft Yammer work together. And finally, we will see how it does or does not support your social business journey. Whether Microsoft Office 365 really can help you to be more social. So let's have a look on the products. I suppose that you have some previous knowledge of the tools, so I don't plan to mention all functions and features. In fact, these comparisons are usually useless, as shown in this funny picture. Comparing enterprise social platforms is similar to comparing a basket of fruit. We can argue whether kiwi is better than orange because it's green, or whether banana is better than orange because it's easier to peel it. As you can see, these disputes have no common sense. So it's more important to look at these products and to check how they support your business, how they help you to do what you need to do. So what is IBM Connections? It's an enterprise social network. It's a platform that brings content, conversation, and people together to one place where they can collaborate. IBM Connections is very people-centric. It means that it puts people in the center, and there are conversations around people, content around people, groups around people. The people are in the very, very middle. IBM Connections has a lot of modules or features like wikis, blogs, file sharing, forums, profiles that you can choose to do your sharing. On the other hand, it's more difficult to say what is Office 365. For many people, it means the online plans, the subscriptions instead of older IBM licensing. For other people, Microsoft Office 365 means web editors or Exchange in the cloud. For others, it could be SharePoint online. But I don't think that for many people it's considered to be a collaboration platform or enterprise social platform. When you log into Office 365, and I use E3 plan for this example, first you have an option to download the desktop editions of the tools like Microsoft Word, Excel, and so on. And below you can see several tiles that contain collaboration features provided by Office 365. Let's start with Mail. So this is a user interface of Microsoft Outlook 365. Personally, I don't like it very much. I have a feeling that something is missing here. I can't see what is my content, what is the user interface. Plus, let's say that this is a matter of design. What's more difficult, and you can see it from the first glance, is the navigation issue. Office 365 is a puzzle or a composition of many tools somehow stitched together. Everything or almost everything is built from SharePoint libraries or SharePoint parts. So for users, the navigation is not easy, as you will see in a few minutes. So my understanding of Office 365 is very similar to this Stitch Apple. Yeah, many tools somehow stitched together with no sound integration. So let's now look at Yammer. Yammer is considered to be the social feature of Office 365. Actually, it provides the feeds functionality. Feeds are very similar to Twitter conversation. You can post updates, you can add photos on files, you can have groups. It's very similar to Twitter. However, if we compare Microsoft Yammer to IBM Connections, it's easy to see that Microsoft Yammer equals only to the activity streams in IBM Connections. So this comparison has no sense, so we have to take account also the other parts of Office 365. Microsoft Yammer is not a standard part of Office 365. You have to enable it in the administration center. It's not hard to just follow several clicks and Yammer is deployed in a couple of minutes. The tool itself is not bad. It has a nice onboarding strategy, and it provides, I think, the best user experience from all the tools within Office 365. But there is a big, serious issue. Microsoft Yammer is not integrated with Office 365, so you have two completely separated profiles as shown on the screenshot. So you can see that I have two profiles with different profiles, photos with potentially different names, completely disconnected. Yammer introduced a new inbox, so there are two inboxes in Office 365, which might be confusing. You have one inbox in Outlook, one in Yammer, completely disconnected. And if you decide to enable Yammer, you have to do it for all users in your organization. So everybody has either Yammer or the old newsfeed without Yammer. So here you can see the difference. Before Yammer, you have only the newsfeed functionality, and with Yammer, the newsfeed is replaced by more powerful feeds. This is the old newsfeed based on the SharePoint technology, so it means without Yammer. As you can see, the user interface is pretty simple. There is no fancy content, no previews, no way how to interact with the activity stream. And I think that this is pretty useless. There are some possibilities of customization of this kind of activity stream, but in general, I think it's a very old-fashioned technology. So you can do much better with Yammer. Using Yammer, you have got a, let's say, standard activity stream or feed, as it is called in Yammer, with many features. Once you have got Yammer, you can use it for commenting files. But again, it's not so easy. There are two kinds of comments. One kind of comments is related to the files, and the second comments are Yammer comments related to files. So you can see that it's not so easy. If you use Yammer for commenting on files, your comments are part of your activity stream, so they are mixed with other conversation, which is okay, but maybe you don't want it this way. So regarding this scenario, you can see that the old newsfeed functionality is very poor, so you should use Yammer to get some proper updates. However, I think that IBM Connections does much better job here. The second scenario is related to people and people profiles. As we already mentioned, profiles in Office 365 are somehow disconnected. So we can see that I have perhaps one profile with my photo in the top right corner, and on the same page there are some information regarding the same user without photo. So this is a proof that in Office 365 the modules or collaboration tools are disconnected. If you like to play peekaboo, you can try to upload photo into Office 365 and then check where the photo is shown and where it is not. But what's more important, there are no tags or no network contacts in Office 365. So you have only very basic information or attribute regarding your colleagues. You can see some contact information, photo, and that's all. If you decide to update your profile, there are 3 pages you can use. On the first one, there are attributes from the directory, so nothing much to change here. On the second page, you can add your contact information and set visibility of this data. And finally, on the last one, you can fill in some social information. Once you enter something, Office 365 tries to create some kind of text from this information, but this information is actually not used for searches. Yeah, so if you search something in Office 365, you can search only the content, not the social data. Regarding people and profiles, I have mentioned also Outlook, because actually there are 3 places where you can work with contacts in Office 365. It's in, let's say, SharePoint, it's in Yammer, and it's in Outlook. So this is really confusing for users. Here you can see my profile already updated, but if I switch to Yammer, obviously the profile is empty. And you can see that the Yammer profile is very, very simple compared to the previous one. There are only 4 fields you can input. So in summary, this part of Office 365 is very confusing. You have 2 detached profiles, one for Office 365, one for Yammer. And even though you can enter some social information, it is hard to be used. In the next scenario, we will check how users of Office 365 can collaborate on a file, which is a very important part of every social network. The component responsible for file sharing within Office 365 is OneDrive, but OneDrive is only a network drive. As you can see, most of the attributes related to files are the same you can see on your local drive. If you want to learn more, you have to click on these 3 dot icons to see more and more. There are some more file details. You have to view file properties, and file properties are what? They are not so useful. There are no social file properties as we know from IBM Connections or other platforms. Regarding file sharing, you can invite other users to read or edit your file, and even without sign in. There is also a possibility to create external links, so I would call it a Dropbox style sharing, which might not be considered to be a secure way by many organizations. There is an option in Administration Center to enable or disable this feature, but it's one option for the whole organization, so you either allow it or disallow it for all files. In Office 365, you can easily check who has got access to your file, but there is no way how to check how many people downloaded your file or like your file or comment or do any social interaction. Again, it's just a network drive, nothing more. Users also often complain that there is no aggregated view of all their files, so you have to go through individual SharePoint libraries to check what's going on. For instance, if you use the view on your files that are shared with you, you can click the three-dot icon to see some more details or properties like preview of the file, but you can see that there is no detail, there is just view library. That means you have to go to a SharePoint library to check more details regarding that file. Nothing that we can call social. And what's most important, there are no file description and no file comments. So from this point of view, Office 365 have almost no social features. To work with comments, you can either enable them in the online editors or use Yammer. Yammer is hidden behind the blue icon on the right side of the screen, and if you open Yammer, you can start conversation regarding the corresponding file. So actually you have got two styles of comments. But if you start edit the file, the internal comments are hidden, so you can use only Yammer if you want to edit the file and do some comments at the same time. But if you switch to desktop, you have no Yammer but only the internal comments on the files. So you can see that this is very confusing and not very practical. So you can see that file sharing features in Office 365 are confusing. The environment is very complex. There are no file description, no comments, no tags. The navigation is very bad, and sometimes you even get some error messages that you can access the file you have just created a couple of seconds ago. In this last scenario, we will check how Office 365 supports sharing of knowledge and experience across the organization. For this, wikis and blogs are the most frequently used tools. Well, there are wikis in Office 365, but they are not true wikis. There are SharePoint libraries that just pretend to be wikis. Once you try to edit a wiki page, you find yourself within a SharePoint library, and the way of editing content has nothing similar with editing a wiki. The same is true for blogs. Maybe blogs look more traditional, but they are still pretty simple, and it's not a feature-rich blogging platform. In IBM Connections, we have communities that are very useful places where we can bring people and content and collaboration tools together. In Office 365, we have groups, but they are only for Exchange and Outlook, and we have so-called sites. Sites are places where you can put content and some application together. There are multiple applications you can choose from, but they are very similar. They are content-centric and just allow you to select a way how you want to display or interact with the content. You can customize sites as you can do with communities in IBM Connections. However, this customization is more complex. I can't imagine that common business users will customize their sites because they will get lost very easily. So I think that the tools that are available within Office 365 for sharing knowledge are not so good. Everything is just tweaked SharePoint, and with sites there are many issues like proper updates, like membership issues, like proper activity streams, no way for tagging, no liking, and so on. In general, the interface is pretty pretty complex and not easy to use. So far, we have covered several areas of Office 365, so we can draw some conclusions now. First of all, you have seen that the approach of Microsoft is very different compared to the approach of IBM. There are many interesting and nice functions within Office 365, but in general, the tool is not social. It's still focused on document management or maybe enterprise content management. And regarding the social function, there is fair tagging, almost no liking, and for users it's very hard to stay updated using Yammer or not. So I'm determined that most likely Office 365 won't improve sharing and collaboration within your organization. The tool is simply too complex and it was not built for social. Yeah, and Yammer does not help at all, it just adds more complexity. The environment is difficult to use, there are many navigation issues, and if there are some powerful features, they have to be set up by well-trained IT guys. So I would say that IBM Connections and Office 365 are completely different worlds. The paradigm in Office 365 is that you need to have IT administrators who will set up the environment and some well-trained people who can produce content in the right places, while the rest of the organization is considered to be just passive consumers of the information and perhaps do some little interaction. On the other hand, IBM Connections was built to be a social platform. In IBM Connection, all users are equal and have the same possibility to contribute on the content everywhere within the system. Even though Office 365 is catching up on Connections, the system is still very content-centric. Most of the features are still based on SharePoint, and my experience with SharePoint is that once you put a document into SharePoint, it's more or less dead. So if you decide to move from SharePoint on-premises to Office 365, you will just get a bigger graveyard for your documents and not a better collaboration. A couple of years ago, I was talking to an enterprise content management expert in my country who told me, if you want to use SharePoint for document management, you should rather buy Stapler and some folders. So I would give you a similar recommendation. If you want to use Office 365 for social collaboration, you should use IBM Connections instead. With IBM Connections, you have much better chances to improve sharing and communication and collaboration within your organization and to receive better business outcomes. So that was all. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to approach me over email or Twitter, or even call me. Thank you.